looking bear there.
Yeah. I like the little headscarf.
You can borrow it.
This time. I got a text from Ken.
Oh, hi, Kenny.
He says, I am everywhere and I am here tonight.
Well, he's everywhere and nowhere.
I am everywhere.
That sounds like God.
God.
Kenny's God today. That's beautiful. I am God. God bless. God bless America. God bless America. Land of the free. Welcome. Salutations, my friend. You see me arrayed in my pumpkin shirt. Being so close to Halloween, I think this is the perfect time to be a pumpkin. So I'm a cute little pumpkin. Cute pumpkin he is. So, of course, our work is about the mystery, the magic of the light prism called the star tetrahedron, a prism of consciousness and light that is the mystical marriage of the divine masculine, the divine feminine, that is then honed and refined as a light wave energy around, within, and through us. And as it is formulated, it begins to open a sacred doorway within the very middle of the star tetrahedron, which is within the area of the heart chakra called the jewel in the lotus. And then it is the opening into the void where spirit then arises forth into creation. It's really quite interesting that when we do our breath work, we are, so to speak, summoning the breath of spirit from the open doorway within the heart. As we've talked about, there are three aspects to creation. There is the divine masculine, which is the focusing of light, the divine feminine, which is imagination and feeling. And as light is then moved through imagination and feeling, it creates the holographic light prism form. But then it is spirit arising from the heart that literally gives it life. We'll find as we continue with our meditation that we are, of course, breathing in spirit from the open doorway. But in fact, if you imagine a balloon and you're blowing up a balloon, so imagine that you are within the void, because that's where we truly all exist. That's the realm of, our eternal being with Source, with God. We have individuated as light beings in order to explore the worlds of form that we have created in order to explore materiality. But in fact, the deepest part of us still resides within the void. And so when we're breathing again, spirit in from the void, we might think that we're summoning from inside out, but in fact, we're really in the void. And as we're taking the in breath, it's really spirit within inside of us, within the void, that like a balloon is then pushing spirit out, which then, like a balloon, it blows up the energy field of the aura. And as we then exhale, it's in this spinning movement of it that it literally spins out light and radiance, just like the physical sun. And so creation really begins as the breath of life that is blowing up the aura. So we might feel that we're breathing it in, but in fact, we're inside and we're really puffing ourselves out. So just a kind of a feeling that you might begin to play with. It's quite amazing because when you're doing that, you can feel yourself sitting within the total silence of the void. In some of the workshops that we did, we explored the feeling of the void. And as we did that, there was a feeling of course, unboundedness, a feeling of tremendous love, of great silence, of a great nurturing essence. And so that is the void. It's where all creation, the womb of mother, literally emanates from out of. And we, if you will, are within the womb, the mother, and we are breathing ourselves out. We are purposing ourselves into the worlds of form by being the balloon that is being blown up from inside out. So we're really this creator being that is making reality. Which comes us to our theme tonight. The soul is crucified within the worlds of materiality. So this is really the, if you will, Eden experience, the allegory of Eden and the fall of grace. So the soul, it's a perfect light being. And again, the void, which is where we originally exist, we then breathed ourselves into light form. And again, there was no materiality, but simply a light form of highly exalted consciousness. And we were together within that place of endemic beauty and grace, if you will. It's where some souls still reside. They never moved into the worlds of materiality to explore it. But then some of us chose, because we, from that place of the endemic experience, we then were able to create materiality. Over eons and eons of time, we were the ones that then, as we continued to purpose ourselves from the void, we then purposed materiality. And so it existed as a raw form, if you will, a raw palette of energy. But then many of us decided it would be quite interesting to get into materiality, to play with it, not from being out and like a sculpture, working the clay, but actually putting the clay on and becoming the clay. And so we then agreed that we would move from Eden, the endemic experience, into materiality. And what this did, it gave us free will, because up until that point in time, being within the endemic state, we were still vibrating in oneness and union with the divine cause, the creation of the worlds of light. But then when we decided to move into materiality, that was then free will. And so we began to make choices. And so this is the story of Adam, the first man, woman, if you will, the Adam of the endemic experience, then chose to eat of the apple of knowledge. So there wasn't some nasty snake there. It was simply really moving into materiality where energy was then focused at the base of the spine, which is then the energy center that as arises forth as the kundalini is the snake. It arises forth from out of materiality to the brow chakra, and then we become unified with spirit above and materiality below. So that's the nasty snake, if you will, that gave us the apple. It was a choice to explore materiality. So we were crucified within the worlds of materiality. Once again, a choice, not something that was imposed upon us. When we began to see what we had created, this magnificent experience of water and air and dolphins and animals and flora and fauna and birds and just magnificence, it was such a joy to be able to come into this earthly plane and begin to explore it. Of course, we didn't realize at that time that it was such a sticky substance. And so as we put it on, it took a great amount of time to begin to feel, well, what do we do with this? How do we manipulate it? How do we make it different? How do we use the mind to not only create it to be different, but then to create more consciousness within the self? And as we did that, we explored with the masculine manipulation, control, using power, doing, making, all part of the process of the evolution of consciousness within form. There was the feminine that then also had two aspects. One was the feeling of love and imagination and creativity, the exalted feminine. But when she was denied or overshadowed by masculine wanting, desiring, manipulation, it then created emotion, which we call the feminine, fallen feminine, which is then sadness and grief and fear and worry that we're not good enough. But it wasn't simply then something that the feminine experienced because males were now born through the womb of mother. They experienced that same feeling of being denied, being judged, criticized as children. And so all of us then began to feel fear and worry and all the emotions of the fallen feminine. Once again, nothing wrong with any of that. It's our joy to come to this planet and put on that which is the feeling of materiality and to experience it. And as we do, and we learn from all of those choices, the fallen feminine of sadness and grief, and worry and anger, and even hatred. But as we find what is within all of those emotions, a part of the self that was denied. And why was it denied? Because we gave it away for validation and for acceptance within the world. It's just part of the plan, part of being crucified within the fields of materiality. But as we move into our spiritual awakening and realize that we are these divine souls, and we begin to hone and refine the fallen masculine from manipulation and control to be the exalted masculine of quiet, focused mind, simply the light of the mind, attention and focus. We begin to use it to feel the emotion. And then as we go through it, we find the parts of self that weren't loved, the part that is still the divine soul that agreed to come into form, that is joy, creativity, imagination, adventure, excitement, enthusiasm, the aspects of the divine child, if you will. And as we then learn to love those parts of self, again, the divine feminine love with the masculine of focused light coming together, and the two now powerfully loving that part of the self, the wounded child, we call it, simply experiencing what the um, crucifixion within materiality is about. But as we love that, we realize that we can love ourselves. And so in that moment, you see, we're no longer looking for knowledge. We're no longer looking for wisdom to make us good enough. We have surrendered that which is the mind and come back to living in heart union, and then feeling once again that we can then simply feel creation and make a choice to become a co-creator. And as we then open the doorway once again within the interior of the heart, we can feel that within the void is the perfection of that which we are. And it has all the codes of information necessary to become a great creator being with free will, mind you, but a free will that is aligned with source creation. And so we then rising forth from crucifixion within materiality back into divine union within. And thus, we, for the first time, as beings from out of the void, light beings, then moving into materiality and then awakening and becoming whole and enlightened within materiality, we can then begin to use in co-creative union with Mother Earth to architect and then create literally a heaven on earth experience. And so this is where we are today within the world. You see, the old is crumbling and falling away. We don't mind that. We don't dislike it. We don't judge it. We simply observe it. Because if we dislike it or judge it or criticize it, we're doing that because there's some emotion within us that is being stimulated by some emotion out there. And as we then feel the emotion, the thing that's bothering there, and then come back in and feel it here, we find simply a part of ourself that wasn't loved, that was crucified within the worlds of materiality, and we have not yet learned to love ourselves completely. But as we then feel the emotion, literally feel ourselves falling through it and find the divine child within that is the perfect reflection of the soul within this world of form, and then bring love and light and joy and magic to that part of self, it awakens. We're now living joy, creativity, imagination, adventure, excitement, enthusiasm. That's divinity. And so we have awakened ourselves back into enlightenment. And so we don't mind what's going on in the world as this begins to arise forth. We use it as a tool to look at the things that bother us and go, there's a part of myself that's not loved yet. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not a judgment. It's not a self-criticism. It's not something that we should beat ourselves up over. It's simply information. How can I inform myself with more love and light? Information. And so that's all this world is about. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing out of balance. It's simply a playground of souls to come, put on materiality. And yes, it looks like some rough games, some rough, tragic things happening. But the soul is eternal. It never dies. It simply comes back and creates another form and once again reappears in another learning session. It's all fine. We have great compassion for those who are going through the tragedy and the travail and the difficulties. But you can be well assured that we've gone through those same things in our incarnational experience. And so it's all part of the learning upon the pathway of climbing the mountain to enlightenment. So we are fortunate, we who are again gathered here to work with the star tetrahedron, the living prism of light, that we have been long enough upon the pathway, that we have learned to love so many parts of ourselves, that we have a meditation experience, we have a feeling of great friends, a spiritual community. We're able to access the internet, great books, find more and more information about how to become the great being we are. And so we are moving quite quickly and quite rapidly towards this new age of heaven on earth. We're here to create it. This is why we chose to be crucified within the fields of materiality, to awaken ourselves back into life fully, completely in union, to live in equanimity with all of life. I'm equal with Father Sky above. I'm equal with Mother Earth below. I'm equal with the masculine on the right, and I'm equal with the feminine on the left. And all of those, which is across, I live in oneness within my heart. I feel within my heart the joy, the truth of the void, the great creator I am. I use the masculine of my mind, the light, to simply shine light upon it. From the void I am, I breathe spirit life into it, creator being I am. This is where we're moving to on the planet, so it's very, very exciting. So we've all been wonderfully crucified, so it's again a joy of awakening now from out of this great travail. One of the things that assists us greatly in our creative work is to breathe life into our creation. And this is, again, the open doorway within the heart, the breath of spirit arising forth. As I said earlier, we have been breathing from out of the open doorway, the breath of life, summoning, calling it forth, when in fact you might want to play with that you really exist within the void, behind the heart, within this eternal place of the silence of creation. And like a balloon, you're really from the void breathing life that is then blowing up the energy field of the aura to be this magnificent globe of golden liquid light that is now moving with the star tetrahedron, this great prism of light. And as you then let the exhale go, it's simply creating, just like the sun, magnificent prisms of living light all around. And it's this feeling, you see, as it's moving through the body, we come back to what we talked about last week. That we're not trying to change the body. We're not trying to change the world. We're not trying to change creation. We're not trying to manipulate what's happening. We're creating a new vibration. And because golden liquid light is the vibration of harmony and peace and joy and creativity and imagination, as it's arising forth from within, and now liquid golden light is flowing from us, the body automatically is then going to be re-architected. The world around us is going to be more prosperous, loving, more loving in relationships, harmony and peace. And so it simply becomes a mirror of what we are. So we do the breath work for about 5 minutes. As I've often said, I like to do the breath work with eyes open. That way I can do it throughout the day when I'm driving or gardening or just enjoying myself, always staying quite centered, if you will. So as we're doing the breath, again, the in breath, it's again, you're really pushing breath out from the open doorway within the void. But if it's a little difficult yet, just feel yourself breathing it, summoning it from inside out. And then out breath, golden liquid light from all around you. We like to have the spine nice and erect because it is the snake at the base of the spine. The Kundalini, as we have then finally loved materiality, it then begins to arise up through the spinal column, the rod of initiation. And as it touches the crown chakra, we are then unified with Father Spirit above, with Mother Earth below. So nice straight spine. So let's go ahead and do about 5 minutes of deep belly breathing. You might feel into all of our work that we're not trying to breathe deeply. There's no trying. It's simply doing and being. I'm observing myself breathing deeply and profoundly. I'm observing myself with the exhale that golden liquid living light is emanating from all around me. And I observe once again the great breath of life rising from the open doorway, flowing gently and effortlessly, magnificently. And another slow, deep breath of life. Golden and becomes sparkling, effervescent all around in the exhale. I am the light. When I'm doing my meditation, I'm always observing my breathing. It's just the most amazing joy to be able to feel myself sitting within the void. And as I am breathing, it's like I'm this balloon. And even though you might say that I'm here breathing in, but I really feel myself within the void, and I'm pushing air from inside out. And so the in breath is really from the void and out breath. And I watch my aura become this great giant balloon of energy that then, with the letting go of the breath, is then this sparkling effervescent, and then back to the joy of just sitting within the void, and once again blowing up the balloon of my aura. It's magnificent. Gives me such great pleasure. So within the meditation, we bring our attention between the eyebrow, and this is then the focusing of light, the light of the divine mind, the silent mind that when we learn to meditate with great clarity, the mind becomes a silent, focused instrument. And as I was saying earlier, it's not a trying, it's simply observing, observing and being, observing and being. When we're trying, we're then trying to use our masculine to make and to do, and we can create tension within the body. Just to observe that, not dislike it, but again, simply observe, and then come back to I am simply seeing the light. I am seeing the light come down to the heart chakra where I illuminate the star tetrahedron. It's a seeing feeling. And as the star tetrahedron is turning, I'm seeing and feeling the breath of life arising from out of the open doorway within the heart. So it's a very simple process of constantly seeing, feeling. And it's this focusing of the mind and seeing and then feeling that creates reality. That's how we originally, from out of the void, created life. We saw it with such clarity. We imagined it with such precision. It happened. There wasn't any trying back then. I'm going to try and create a universe. So let's close the eyes and feel the body relaxing, please. And then bringing our attention between the eyebrows, we imagine and feel that we could draw a line straight back. And within the approximate center point of the head, we ignite the light. The light of the soul, perfect, divine, a light that sees, and through seeing and feeling, it creates. See the light focus to the heart chakra at the sternum. With imagination, you see, feel the star tetrahedron, the prism of living light. Whatever size feels comfortable. And as it is turning, it opens the sacred doorway within the very center of the chest, the heart chakra, back in the realms of spirit void. And arising forth is the breath of life that touches the prism of the spinning star and activates light, sparkling and effervescent within and all around. Let us sit quietly together, and we will all join together within the living light. Welcome back, all of you pumpkins. Hope no one turned back into mice. Or maybe magic horses. Or ruby slippers. Pumpkin time. Well, thank you for joining tonight. Another marvelous meditation. It's always great to be with you. We'll be back again in 2 weeks. And we'll let you know via the newsletter what will be the schedule for November. I'm not sure where Thanksgiving will fall, but we'll let you know. And once again, thank you for joining in, and great blessings, my friends.